Today we are taking on the Hardcore Gymlocke challenge, the Nuzlocke that, on top of your standard hardcore rule set, turns team building on its head by forcing every Pokemon you used against a gym leader to be retired for the rest of the run. At least, this was the original challenge proposed by creator Masho Brace when he introduced us all to the idea. You can check out his original video for more information on his standard rule set. But you know me, I am all about my loopholes. Purely by the law of the land, I could carry my starter and any other great encounters I find throughout the entire game as long as I built teams that I was okay with losing for each specific gym. And as somebody well acquainted with using terrible Pokemon in Nuzlockes already, well, that just seemed a little too easy for me. So I've gone ahead and cranked the difficulty up just a little bit. Now, any Pokemon that I use in any trainer battle will be sent on a permanent vacation after the next gym badge is obtained. They will then be substituted by their replacements from the box that I must have ready to bring in, or else I fail. Though I decided this still was not enough. As a gym-centered challenge by name, I also made the decision that I would not be able to bring more Pokemon into the gym leader fight than the gym leader has themselves. On top of the standard hardcore rule that I can't overlevel their ace Pokemon, this made for quite the exercise in team building, strategy, and resource management. If you're a little confused, don't worry, I'm sure it'll make more sense as we go. But before we do, we've got a gift to open up here and whoa! Is that the subscribe button? Are we transitioning into a cheesy plug where I try to convince the 70% of you watching this video that this channel is worth subscribing to?
Yes, we are.
Like most vanilla Nuzlockes that aren't set in Johto, our starter choice really doesn't matter too much. Although in black and white, choosing either Tepig or Oshawott does actually give us a decent advantage that we'll get to in a bit. We end up choosing Bacon the Tepig, I must have been hungry when I started this run, and use him to beat up both Sharon and Bianca. That officially enlists him into our first draft of soldiers. No matter what, our starter Pokemon will be completely unusable after we obtain our first badge. But that doesn't mean we can't enjoy our time together until then. While beating up N, I can't help but think, wow, is this what using a starter Pokemon is like? I haven't had one in so long. Don't take me back to the F-tier days. On Route 1, we land Pancakes the Patrat, and on Route 2, we catch Corndog the Lillipup. Neither of which have seen any combat as of yet, and we're going to be pretty picky about when and if they do. The only necessary trainer battles before Striaton City are this youngster and Bianca, both of which are wiped out pretty easily just by Bacon alone. Upon entering the city, we can go ahead and box Corndogs so that we know for sure that we have somebody to pick up after the first gym is defeated. Sharon is hanging out in the trainer school, and he pulls a fast one on me by actually leading with his starter, unlike Bianca, who kept hers in the back. Well, that's probably fine. It's just time to enlist Pancakes. One Tail Whip, Switch, Leer, and Tackle later, we take out both his Oshawott and Purloin and are given a handful of Oran Berries for our efforts. Black and White are my favorite games for a lot of reasons, but for Nuzlocke purposes specifically, the early game is super interesting because not only are you always weak to the first gym, but you also don't have infinite berries right off the bat. In fact, this is it for a short while, and there are only relief against the gym that, again, we are inherently weak against. This is precisely why Snivy, although I'll admit she is the best starter, is the objectively wrong choice in these games. After blasting through the gym trainers blocking the way, we are put face to face against one of 3 gym leaders. If you start the game with Snivy, your first gym leader is in fact the fire leader Chili with his Pansear, who comes equipped with Incinerate. Whether it's directly relevant or not, Incinerate is a move which burns any berries your Pokemon might be holding before they have the chance to use them. The other 2 leaders having basic type attacks like Vine Whip and Water Gun make Mr. Green Christmas far stronger than his brothers for literally only that reason. I get they wanted to show off the new move, but why not just give him Ember? Only a third of players are gonna see him anyway. Anyway, in this reality, we are going up against Cress. Our own Ember spam takes out his Lillipup, though we do end up eating our berry in the process, before we come up against Panpour. While it works up, we Tail Whip as many times as possible, then survive the incoming Water Gun with just 2 HP to get off 1 more defense drop. Then, instead of taking us out right away, Bacon actually gets a hit off with Tackle while the monkey boosts his attack 1 more time. Not sure why any mercy is being shown here, but I will definitely take it. Bacon falls the next turn, but the damage has literally been done. Plus, this is a gym battle. As long as we win, he's not really dead, he's just retired. Yeah. With that solace in mind, Pancakes takes the charge. Crest still can't see a KO even at +3, and while it uses workup one more time, we are finally able to clear the gym for good. We deposit our brave soldiers into the beach resort they belong, never to be touched again unless I need an HM buddy, and enlist Corndog to join our adventure for the next leg of the journey. In the Dream Yard, we clear out Team Plasma before we're able to add some more members to our squadron. And to do so, I decide to break a personal rule of mine regarding gift Pokemon. Now, normally I count gift Pokemon as their encounter for the area, but I also don't normally release my Pokemon after every gym, so I think the small compromise of allowing static Pokemon to be extra encounters is fair game for this challenge. Especially since, even though we're forced to talk to Fennel for hours anyway, I am also not allowing Dream World or other event Pokemon. Just a lot of explanation to say that I get a free monkey here. As for our wild Dream Yard encounter, we've already got a Patrat, so that means our possible encounters are Munna or Purloin. Unfortunately, there's no delaying the encounter though. I really want to save our Pansage, but you're not allowed to go into the next route without at least 2 Pokemon. And then once you do have 2 Pokemon, you're immediately forced to use them. Sharon landing a critical hit right off the jump wasn't exactly my bingo card anyway, so I guess I'm happy enough to have Popcorn as a backup. We engage in a cat fight that we don't feel poised to win, since we're over here missing Fury Swipes just as often as he's landing 5 hits on the same move. But somehow we prevail anyway with a 5-hit Fury Swipe ourselves on the back end. Thank goodness for level advantage. In the Wellspring Cave, we run into a Roggenrola immediately, who we name Rock Candy. And then Corndog evolves after another run-in with Team Plasma. The TM for Thief can be found here, and that solves our money problems, or it will in a bit. Then, continuing to Route 3, we let the Dark Grass double our chances for a good encounter, and that's how I learned that Dark Grass isn't a guaranteed double battle. Pinwheel Forest holds the answers to all of our problems, but first we find and catch a Tympole that we name Nugget. Then we rush to find the Dark Grass where we can encounter Throw. Throw has the handy property of usually coming equipped with some kind of belt, either a black belt or expert belt. These are items that we can endlessly steal to not only have access to ourselves, but also sell for just all the money. And since Thief is resisted, we don't really have to worry about knocking it out and overleveling. The only kink to this plan is Purloin probably dies if she tries to be the one to steal it. Fortunately, Broccoli also learns the move, and he can safely do the deed for us. And this is not a trainer battle, so technically by my rules, he will not be enlisted just by doing this job for us. Oh, and Throw is probably the most extreme example, and the reason why Broccoli has to do the job clearly designed for Popcorn, but other Pokemon on this route also contribute to the cause, such as Tympole holding a Persian and Audino holding either Oran or Citrus Berries. Again, we never KO these Pokemon as we steal their berries, and running from the battle does let us keep them. So not only do we have access to the oh so important Expert Belt, but we also have our infinite berries back, baby! So with us back on track and having access to any and all of these wild held items, we safely deposit Broccoli back into the PC, and move on to fight N outside of the second gym, leading off with Popcorn before realizing that crits are very real and they can hurt you before letting Corndog barely finish the job. But as it turns out, if you give this dog an expert belt, work up, and rock smash, the poor trainers in the normal type gym do not stand a chance. Before challenging the leader, we level up to match her at 20, which evolves Popcorn as well. So look at that, an awesome strategy and a new evolution, and we only get to use them for this one gym only. Awesome. Lenora's Pokemon proved to be a bit bulkier than expected though. Granted, we were only at +1 because of Intimidate, but Expert Belt Rock Smash still doesn't quite get the one-hit KO. We take the opportunity to grab another boost while she heals, and then we get the knockout the next turn, but I mean, still. Watchog is out next, and we fully expect, with our lower defense, damage already taken, and the KO we just got last turn, for the incoming Retaliate to take us out, but Watchog just goes for another Leer. I mean, again, I'm not really complaining, but Rock Smash also, again, barely misses the kill. But on the other side, so does the non-boosted Retaliate that comes out in return, so I don't even know what the hell this fight is. A win is a win, and that just means 2 more Pokemon get to join their brethren in the resort upstate. In their place, we withdraw Drumstick to evolve and take the lead. Though for now, we leave Rock Candy behind because even though we might end up using him anyway, if we take him right now, we'll be forced to draft him because of these 2 twins guarding the forest entrance. And really, I'd just like to make that choice myself. Fortunately, these 2 will let us pass if we don't have 2 in the party, but that means we're relying on just a single Drumstick to handle the entire forest. Now, we have to make our way through the Pinwheel Forest for real and run out Team Plasma, and while in there, I decided to double our encounters for the forest, just like we did for Dreamyard. We did already get Tympole outside, but again, I'm breaking one of my rules and actually allowing myself to count this as 2 separate encounters because of their different encounter tables. And that is how we end up with Salad the Petalil. Fortunately, most of the trainers in the forest have only one Pokemon, and they are all single battles, so we can just blast our way through the end with just Drumstick without even having to worry about overleveling, just as we had hoped. We make the run back to Nacrene City, trick this girl into giving us a Mystic Water since we already picked up a Miracle Seed in the forest, deposit our beautiful flower girl for later, and run across the Skyward Bridge directly into Castelia City. But before we're allowed to challenge the next gym, we are forced to once again face off against Team Plasma. Again? Still? Whatever. We have to get back Bianca's stolen Pokemon. Unfortunately, Drumstick is just one level away from the gym's level cap, and there's still mandatory trainers in the gym as well. So we will be forced to enlist a second Pokemon into our team. But at least we can expand our options now. We are able to run north and catch Burger the Scraggy on Route 4, but unfortunately can't go further than that without having to deal with Sharon. So I guess that settles it. Welcome to the team, Burger. Now, normally I love Scraggy, and I really hate to see him go this early, but desperate times. Also, he's got a bold nature. Still, he blasts through the Team Plasma fights, then well enough carries us through the mandatory gym trainers without risking overleveling Drumstick in the back. Now it's time for Berg. His lead Whirlipede gets an attack boost from our Swagger, but Poison Tail being resisted still doesn't do much to Burger. In fact, the confusion lands us with a free workup as the bug hits itself, and then we're able to KO with Headbutt. Levanny comes out next, so we unfortunately have to let Little Burger fall in order to give us a free switch to Drumstick. But a critical hit Razor Leaf leaves us on just a sliver of HP remaining, and our boosted payback deals double damage, which then one-shots the Levanny with our +1 attack boost. Unfortunately, we are not able to continue the sweep as Dwebble refuses to hit itself in confusion, but that's totally okay with us. Sure, we're risking a crit now since we raise his attack, but crits only exist when the script calls for them, and I'm reading the script right now, and he does not crit, so we land 2 air cutters with Drumstick and earn ourselves another badge. Drumstick and Burger earn their place on the beach to retire in peace as we add Rock Candy and Nugget to the squad to be enlisted right away. After evolving. Rock Candy doing so twice actually, since Gigalith is just a trait evolution, and like, I obviously have friends. No wait, please don't leave, I'm so lonely. Point is, we definitely need that extra power because taking 2 Pokemon weak to grass and water is a bad time considering we have 2 rival fights ahead. Could I just add one of our grass types to the team to be safe and call it a day? Yes. Will I? So first we barge around town gathering items like this Eviolite from Scientist Dude and the TM for Rest from this hiker guy. Castelia is full of super useful items, so it's a good idea to grab as many as possible now. Then we enter the fight against Bianca, waiting for us just outside of the city. We try our best to avoid damage by keeping her Herdier confused, but it never ends up hitting itself. Fortunately, Eviolite means we take minimal damage from the incoming takedowns. Servine is in next, and we do have a little bit of luck we might need a pull on since it's likely that it's going to use Leaf Tornado immediately. We gamble by selecting Supersonic, and missing. Servine then goes for Leech Seed. Well, you can't say we didn't try. We bring in Rock Candy to take the Leaf Tornado, and he tanks it beautifully. 2 smackdowns take out the snake, even with the healing it tries to do in between attacks. Against her Panpour, we can swap out to Nugget since Water Gun is neutral, and uproar our way to a victory past both it and Muna. Alright, easy enough. On to round 2. Leading off with Rock Candy this time, and we take the easy hits from Sharon's Pidove while setting up Iron Defense. We go for 2 since it will leer to try to bring our defense down, and while it does that, we can keep at least a +2 boost before KOing with a strong smackdown. Dewott is in next, and it does go for Focus Energy to raise the crit chance of Razor Shell even higher, but even a crit won't one-shot us here, so we stay in and let Smackdown plus Sandstorm damage do its work. Funny enough, his Panseer does try to put us to sleep with Yawn, but our held Chesto Berry that was supposed to combo with Rest ends up proccing, and we take down both it and Liepard far too easily. Now, it may seem like we're running low on Pokemon right now, so let's fix that. In the Desert Resort, we find Sandwich the Sandile, and the Relic Castle Ruins land us Carrot the Yamask. We then push northwards into Nimbasa City to deposit our 2 new captures into the weirdest buffet box you've ever seen. Then we're forced into a date with N that, as all my dates in this world tend to, involve a battle to the death. Like, I'm serious this time, I'm pretty sure this is him threatening my life. The gym trainers don't pose any real threat, but I am forced to be careful about experience management as both Nugget and Rock Candy have already reached the cap of 27. If one of them overlevels, I may be forced to bring on another Pokemon just to beat Elesa, and then I'd be wasting resources by benching another Pokemon. Bringing in less Pokemon is great if you can manage to still beat the gym, but it makes it that much harder to manage experience getting there if you also only use those same Pokemon for the battles before that gym. That is definitely something I feel like will be more prominent as we progress. Well, fuck. So realistically, I've got 2 options now. I can go grab a new Pokemon from the box to enlist, or try and face Elesa head on with just a Palpitoad. Pretty sure Ash tried this in the anime and it did not work. But did he have an Eviolite? I don't think so. We confuse her lead Emolga to try and buy us some turns, and surprisingly, even with my luck, the squirrel does end up hitting itself once before Elesa heals. And then once more while our spam bubble beams get the first KO. We pull the same strategy against the second Emolga, this time with the much more powerful Muddy Water thanks to the level we gained from the first KO, and that's SquirrelCon 1 down and out. That means only Zebstrika is left. The poor thing can't spark or volt switch, and we resist flank charge thanks to our water typing. Quick attack is all the Zebra can even click, and we more than outgun that damage with Mud Shot, picking up a clean and easy 2-hit KO. Psh, I wasn't worried. Were you worried? I wasn't worried, not me. We leave behind Rock Candy and Nugget to take a well-deserved rest at the beach resort, replacing them with Broccoli, who finally makes the team for real. We do have to make a quick trek back to Casellia to pick up a leaf stone from the scientist guy that I guess just keeps them on hand, and we are able to use it right away to evolve our Monkey Boy. Route 5 greets us with yet another Sharon fight, but this time we've only got a Simisage to get us by. Well, kinda. I mean, we brought Sandwich along just as a contingency, but I kinda am hoping we don't have to enlist her just yet. So really, for everything to go perfect, we're just relying a lot on Broccoli to see us through. And we pushed our level as close to the next cap as I was comfortable doing so, just to make sure that this fight can go off without a hitch. Simisage is pretty slept on for how powerful he can actually be. Pansear doesn't see a KO with Flame Burst, so it just tries to yawn us to sleep while we two-shot with Fury Swipes. Our Chestabear once again activating just for this specific case. Tranquil is also two-shot, and finally Dewott falls to his own Seed Bomb. This opens up the Drift Veil Drawbridge. Bridges in this game are pretty cool because you can find infinite feathers to raise EVs or sell for money, but they unfortunately come just a bit too late in this game as we've already had access since like Pinwheel Forest for all the EVs we really need. Still though, super useful if you're wanting to avoid grinding, but what we're really here for is the practically free encounter of Crackers the Ducklet that you can sometimes find in those shadowy spots instead. And we never really did get the chance to explore on Route 5, so we head back that way to pick up a Solosis that we named Jellybean. Driftville City will grant us 2 new encounters, one in the cold storage and one on Route 6. So we do something kinda fun. By changing the date on our very real 3DS, we can change the season to winter, which allows Vanillite to be found on Route 6. By leveling up Crackers to level 25 and using a Repel, we cut out all the other possible encounters that aren't Fungus or Vanillite, which are the only 2 Pokemon found at level 25 on this route. Both of them have a 15% chance of appearing, and that means we pretty much have 50-50 odds of skipping another grass type and instead landing our beautiful ice cream cone. Well, gotta admit, not ideal. But a Moongus might actually come in handy later, maybe? See, ideally we catch Vanillite on Route 6 so that we can guarantee a Timber in the cold storage. Now, I'm not complaining about either of our options here, but I would have loved both Vanillite and Timber instead of just one or the other. Herdier can't be captured because of our Dupe's Claws, so Minccino is the only other encounter here that we don't already have, and it's only found at level 20. So we break out the Repel manipulation again, this time leading with a level 21 Carrot, and end up actually finding our Vanillite that we name Ice Cream. Repel manipulation is going to come up a lot in this run. But right now, unfortunately, we're also faced with another impossible problem. Broccoli is going to overlevel, and I pretty much need him for the ground-type gym coming up, but the cold storage has several mandatory fights in it. Not to mention the plasma fights once we're through it, and the gym trainers before we even reach Leader Clay in the first place. This is exactly what I feared before Elesa. The fights between gym leaders are stacking up far too high for one Pokemon to take on themselves, and even with this newest batch of captures, we're not going to have the Mon power to continue at this pace. Not to mention, most of the Pokemon I have don't evolve until not only after this gym, but the next gym. Unova has so many late game evolutions or high level requirements that doing this challenge in this game specifically is far more difficult than I ever could have anticipated when I first started. But I'm not giving up now, and I can't let that keep me down. I decide to first check out Route 6, seeing if Charge Stone Cave is open, but as suspected, it's blocked off until after defeating Clay. Though this little girl does give me a shiny stone. Now I'm thinking I should have taken the early evolution of Cinccino after all. Backtracking to Nimbasa grants us the HM for strength and a Sunstone, but wait. What did you just say? Route 16 is an odd place. You can go there, sure, but it's blocked off for the most part until you've beaten the gyms. But on this half of the route, we can still bypass the trainers to reach the grass and find... well, I suppose that's comedy for you. This route is also connected to a small hideaway called the Lostlorn Forest. Only 2 Pokemon can be found here that are under level 22, Tranquil, who we've already had, so Dupe's Claws, and everyone's favorite speed bug, Venipede. There's also this weird lady in the trailer, but there's nothing we can do about her, at least not in this timeline. We evolve a street taco named Desire and give him an Eviolite. With his newfound bulk, iron defense, and rest, we're able to plow our way through the cold storage trainers and ambush Team Plasma. Only this one guy even gets close to threatening us, and that's with a lot of sleep and confusion RNG. The rest fall pretty easily, and we're staying well within the level cap. cap, evolving right after the final grunt to grant us a glorious Scolipede. And you know what? Even if it's just for the one gym, how giddy I am to actually be able to use a Scolipede cannot be understated. Except we are once again pretty close to the level cap. But if we switch around to the gym trainers to spread out the experience, we can make it just under the cap and stay at level 31 when we finally reach Clay and challenge him to a battle. His Crocorock has swagger, and we know for a fact that it wants to use it. So let's let it, and set up Iron Defense with Street Taco without being at risk of too much damage coming our way. Now at +2 attack and defense, we can baton pass out to Broccoli, who can easily take a resisted bulldoze, and now he's free to sweep. Did you know Confusion got passed with the baton? Because I did not, but we snap out anyway. 3 seed bombs later, and we walk away with a shiny new badge. We enlist Sandwich into the squad and give Street Taco and Broccoli a well-deserved rest. Sandwich evolves into a Crocorock, but that alone will not be enough. Once more, there's a Bianca fight coming up, and she still has that damn Panpour and Servine. So we also add Crackers to the team with the Neviolite. Herdier goes against our Sandwich, who flips the tables by taking a bite out of him instead, with 2 big crunches for the KO. Panpour Scald gives us an easy switch out to Crackers, just as planned, and we set up an Aqua Ring just for fun while Bianca wastes her potions. Air Slash eventually does take out the monkey, and it also one-shots the Servine that comes in next. We could switch out to Sandwich to take out Musharna, but since we're already all set up, we watch as it does nothing but curl up like a monkey paw. Lucky Chant cannot save you now, and we slowly whittle away its HP. For winning the fight, we now get access to Fly. So before moving forward anymore, we have to make another trip back, this time to the Desert Resort. I didn't really take the time to explore this place before, mostly out of fear of the extra experience, but we don't really have to worry about that right now. The TM for Rock Tomb is our prize, and we teach it to Sandwich immediately in preparation for the next gym. And I can hear you yelling at me with your mind about the fossils. I know, but I don't know which one I need yet. So I'll come back and get the one I need when I do, okay? Clay lets us into the long-awaited Chargestone Cave, and literally every encounter in here is a banger. We end up catching a Joltik and name him Marshmallow. Spelled with 1 L because 2 wouldn't fit. Team Plasma is waiting in here somewhere, but they're so pathetic that we just let Crackers take them out by himself. Well, most of them. I do start getting a little worried about levels towards the end, but we let Sandwich sweep through N at the end of the cave and keep ourselves a level under the cap. However, even though we've reached Miss Charlton City, we cannot challenge the next gym just yet. First, we are forced northward through Route 7. Well, maybe we can crush 2 birds with 1 boulder. With some more repel manipulations, we can force the tall grass on this route to only ever give us Fungus, Watchog, or Zebstrika, which means we can pretty freely catch a Zebstrika in this way. It's a good Pokemon for the upcoming gym, one I'm not heartbroken to not be able to carry any further, and will have the space in its levels to help us avoid over-leveling the rest of our team. This works as perfectly as you would expect, and we add French Fry to the team. Celestial Tower only has 2 encounters, and I'll be honest, I don't really want an Elgyem. So we stay on the 2nd floor, where Litwick is a 100% guaranteed encounter, and catch Onion. The trainers in this tower really aren't too bad. The few that French Fry can't take out herself, we do have a little bit of wiggle room with the other 2 to swap in and help with, except when I think we can take a second takedown from the Stoutland, and I am proven very wrong. Well, French Fry, you truly were fast food. At least you got us through the tower. Even if we did have to use Crackers on the last trainer and force her to evolve to put us right at the level cap now, do we need another Pokemon to make it through the gym? We bury poor French Fry's body in the graveyard, our first and only death so far. Shh, bacon and burger don't count. And to answer my previous question, yes, we do need another Pokemon for the gym, and thus we bring on Churro the Chinchino. The move reminder also happens to be nearby, and I also happen to have a heart scale that I found in the Desert Resort, so now she has both Technician and Rock Blast, which, let's be honest, is about as good as you're gonna get with a Chinchino in this game. Level 30 should give us enough wiggle room before reaching Skyla, but it sure seems to be enough for these guys, especially when equipped with the Expert Belt. Still kicking myself for even being in the situation and wasting resources. We reach the back of the gym and finally can fight for our prize. We lead off with Churro. If we have to bring her, we may as well get use out of her. Put in the workup and then KO Skyla's Swoobat with a Rock Blast. We then outspeed and somehow land the hit to one-shot on Pheasant as well. Up comes Swanna, and our 90% accurate move finally misses. But her Air Slash and Retaliation doesn't get the KO, so we just hit a second Rock Blast and we sweep her entire team with just Chinchino. You're telling me the waste actually ended up being poor Sandwich and Crackers? Both specifically chosen for this fight, and then never even getting to see the battlefield? It's fine. I'm fine. Our 3 beloved Pokemon that feel like they've been with us for so long now take a much deserved rest as we instead add the newly evolved Carrot onto the team. Then we fly back to Driftvale to pick up a Shell Bell from the sky now that we've seen over 50 Pokemon, which is extremely helpful. In fact, we need all the help we can get since we're put into another battle against Sharon before entering Twist Mountain, which means Carrot alone unfortunately will not be enough. So we also add a scoop of Ice Cream to the team after evolving her and lead her in the fight against Unpheasant. A single Ice Beam from Ice Cream is enough to ream the bright sheen out of this feathered king. Simisear coming in forces us to swap to Carrot, but he can't break through our defenses before we take him out. This isn't relevant in any previous fights, but Sharon's Liepard used to have Pursuit, which it no longer has for this battle. So we are free to swap back out to Ice Cream and take the cat out with another beam. A lot of rhyming today. Duwont comes in last, and I fully expected to go for revenge, so I swap out to Carrot. But the otter actually hits a Water Pulse instead. The damage is close, but we do survive a second hit and successfully rest off the damage. Once we wake up and get off a Will-O-Wisp, we are put in a winning position. Hex's double damage scores a 2-hit KO, healing us just enough with the Shell Bell to be out of risk of another Water Pulse. Sharon's defeat impresses this guy with crazy hair, and he gives us the HM for Surf. And Surf lets us go and do, well, a lot of stuff that we should probably get out of the way now. Back just north of Driftvale City, we can pick up useful items like Silk Scarf and the TM for Poison Jab, and make our way into the Mistralton Cave. Don't mind the lines, it just looks like that, okay? The cave isn't judging your lines. So here we've got two real options for encounters, Axew and Drillbur. Well, technically we could also get a Woobat, but listen, if you want to see me use a Swoobat, go check out the F-tier series, okay? Linked below. Anyway, Drillbur is awesome, but we will get him later. For now, we can pocket Cider the Axew. Will we use him? I don't know, but I like dragons. Before leaving the cave, we say hi to the funky-looking giraffe in the back, and then get the heck out of Dodge. Dodge being the cave, and Heck being Route 1, which directly connects to Route 17, where we pick up Bell Pepper the Frillish. Route 17, in turn, then lets head to Route 18, where this guy gives us an egg, and I'm like, cool, those ain't cheap these days, and we also catch Crabcake the Dwebble. Kinda the only encounter we can get here besides the 10% throw chance, but hey, I'm not complaining, I'll take more bugs. One more hidden area on this route is the P2 lab, which is, yes, technically its own location. And the only viable encounter for us here is one of my absolute favorite Pokemon of all time. Chip and Dip join the squad. Okay, time to get back on track. In Twist Mountain, the encounters change a lot depending on the season, and we really want to get a Girder here. So we get our encounter during autumn, which turns both Woobat and Cupchew into 10% encounter chances, instead of their possible 30 and 45% respectively. Cragonal, in turn, becomes a 1% chance, and Boldore is a whopping 49%. Since we've already sent our Gigalith on vacation, that means our most likely encounter is left to be Girder at 30%. Unfortunately, there's no real way to foolproof this encounter, but this is the way that makes him the most likely encounter for us, and I guess that's good enough. Meet Fruit Punch the Girder. I mean Count Kelder. He is Sheer Force instead of Guts, which isn't ideal, but it's still pretty good. The trainers in Twist Mountain really don't pose much of a threat, with Carrot and Ice Beam easily taking them all out. The problem, once again, is how close we're creeping to that level 39 cap. We could sub in Chip and Dip as backup, but again, if we can avoid using him, that would be awesome. But considering how the last gyms have gone, I highly doubt that's going to happen. Icarus City has puddles that we can repel manipulate into giving us a Shelmet that, yes, we will be evolving into Escargot the Isildur. The gym trainers in Icarus are all mandatory, and we're already cutting it pretty close on levels. So I guess the only plan I really have is to take them on one at a time, and if we get too close, we'll just sub in Chip and Dip, but the last trainer brings us right to the edge, and both Ice Cream and Carrot stay within the level cap. Time to tackle Bryson. We lead Carrot against his Vanillish since it has Mirror Shot just like ours. Acid Armor can't save him from Shadow Ball, and Carrot easily grabs us our first KO. Beartic is severely crippled by Will-O-Wisp, and despite his swagger, we avoid hitting ourselves and land the burn. Then we switch out to our own Ice Cream, boost our defense with our own Acid Armor, and really turn the tables on the poor guy. We don't get as lucky with the confusion hits this time, but we're able to heal off the damage with Rest before it piles on too high. Ice Cream wakes up just in time to pick up the KO before the bear falls to his inevitable demise. With Cragonal on a Toxic Timer, our win is practically guaranteed, and the 7th badge is ours. Carrot and Ice Cream take the rightful place on the beach along with all their other fellow victors. Hopefully Vanillish doesn't melt. I didn't think about that. Chip and Dip are automatically enlisted with the Eviolite held item, and Crabcake joins them with the Shell Bell. We evolve both of them to make up our new team for the next stretch of the adventure. Dragon Spiral Tower has a few options for our next team member, and for the same reasons as Pinwheel Forest, I'll be splitting this into 2 encounters just for consistency's sake. Outside the tower, we can repel manipulate specifically during winter to give us a 30% chance of Bienfu, while only risking a 10% chance of Cubchoo. well, I'll still take it over Druddigan. In fact, this is probably the best leg of the journey to use this guy at all, so we evolve Donut and bring him with us as we begin our trek into the tower. Inside, we can also pick up Gumdrop the Golett before plowing through the horde of Team Plasma Grunts, taking full advantage of Crabcake's resistance to normal moves and the super effective he deals against dark types. N has awoken a giant chicken at the top of the tower, and I guess that's what we're here to put a stop to. I know eggs are expensive, but man, hatching a giant monster chicken is just a step too far. But he doesn't fight us right now, so this whole trip is just a bit of a nothing burger. Route 8 and the Moor of Icarus are pretty boring. The only real possible encounter is Stunfisk on both, kind of. We do catch one in the Moor and name him Butter, but then we can run back into Route 8 and I decide to try something cool. The rippling water on this route has a 95% chance to contain Stunfisk, which we already have, but also a 5% chance to be a Seismitoad instead. Technically speaking, we did already have both a Temple and a Palpitoad, but not a Seismitoad. Does this break Dupe's Claws? Maybe. Is Dupe's Claws largely optional? Kinda. Is this inconsistent ruling with previous routes where I could have technically caught a Watchog because those things are everywhere? No comment. Welcome Eggroll to the team. I don't end up using this guy, so the mental gymnastics here are largely unnecessary, and I wasted my time trying to find a 5% encounter, so you know, that's cool. Anyway, we run back to deposit our spoils, and gotta say, our resources for the final stretch are looking pretty good. We even have a Prep D4 team if we somehow fail every upcoming encounter, which, we probably won't, but I do enjoy a good skeleton crew. I never saw the series. Apparently, we aren't allowed to run through Route 8 quite yet, but I gotta say, I really appreciate Crackers coming out of retirement for us, because now we gotta fly back again to the Relic Castle. More Plasma Goons await us inside, and Crabcake is getting just a little too close to our level 43 cap, so we swap around to let Donut and Chip and Dip get their turns in. Though this does lead to one pretty scary moment where I didn't realize Scraggy would have high jump kick already, and Chip and Dip fall to 9 HP. But it's just him, and the rest of the grunts really don't pose nearly the same threat. There's also no boss fight or anything waiting for us at the bottom of the ruins, because Team Plasma is just terrible at letting us actually have a climax. So we're kinda just free to leave after the grunts. The professor then calls us to Nacrene City, and Lenora gives us a cool rock, and then they send us on our way to Opalucid City, where, let's be real, we're heading there anyway because we need the next goddamn gym badge. But we still can't get through Route 8 because now Bianca stops us for a battle. We are leading off with Crabcake because despite all her talk about not being strong or whatever, this is one of the scariest fights for us, especially at this point in the game. Mostly because her scariest Pokemon all carry setup moves, and we are going to get pretty easily swept if we are not able to take them out fast enough. Seemingly just to prove that point, Stoutland gets to +2 with Work Up right away, while we start chipping away with X-Scissor, definitely not dealing the damage we need to. Uh-oh. Fortunately, we can make up for that by still not taking too much damage from Crunch, and keeping ourselves relevant in the fight by landing a poison with Poison Jab while Bianca heals. She then roars us out to Donut, and while we could now outspeed and kill since we lowered its speed with Bulldoze earlier, we opt to switch out to Chip and Dip instead. This will prompt Bianca to waste another full restore, and we can still outspeed and eventually take down the threat with combined Mirror Shot and Thunderbolt. This brings in Simipour next for whatever reason, and Thunderbolt plus Volt Switch will allow us to take it out, and then also freely bring in our still full HP Donut against Serperior. All we need now is for Icicle Crash to land, and not only does it hit, but it also lands a critical, picking up the clean KO even after Superior's attempts to coil. Musharna is never really much of a threat, so 2 Icicle Crashes and a Brine take it out. But the interruptions aren't done yet. This weirdo and his entourage stop us for a bit more dialogue that we skipped because Big Pokemon really doesn't want us entering Opalucid City for whatever reason. Finally, we can cross the bridge and... oh, come on! We rush through Route 9 and into the city finally, needing to access the Pokemon Center before our next encounter. Oh, and our egg finally hatches into Larvesta. We will never get to evolve him in this challenge. Woohoo! We repel manipulate our way into a wild Ponyard on Route 9 who we name Sashimi. Then a lot of button mashing later and we're finally allowed to take on the 8th and final gym. Turns out though, when you take a super aggressive ice type and a super defensive steel type into the all dragon gym, you kinda make your way through the trainers pretty easily. Though I'll admit I really hate the goddamn puzzle. And even though all the trainers in this gym are mandatory, and there's quite a few of them, we still manage to stay under the level cap by switching off and on between Chip and Dip and Donut. Ooh, that's fun to say fast. Chip and Dip and Donut. We lead hard and fast with Donut against the gym leader, instantly scoring the one-hit KO against her Fracture as it tries to Dragon Dance. And, Druddigan too. And Haxorus. And I guess that's it. Well, thanks for the badge. I mean, I guess we knew that Crustle was more for Team Plasma than he was for the gym, but getting to Shell Smash would have been kinda cool. Oh well. No matter how you slice it, that was the final gym for the Gymlocke challenge. We bring our victors to rest with their brethren once more at the luxury beach resort that is my PC, and can now begin crafting a team from the resources we have left to us. This lady tells us about a strange storm on Route 7, so we head there straight away, because I forgot to grab the TM for Will-O-Wisp here. Thanks, lady. We also make the trek back to Relic Castle one more time, which, I mean, it's just a wealth of whatever for us. We just keep on coming back. This time we can steal the plume fossil off of this lady because we are good and set on the water side of things. Then we can run to Nakrine City and turn it into an Archon who we promptly evolve into Archeops. Yeah, sure, defeat us is a thing, if you're a coward, but Maple Syrup is going to beat those allegations. After all, his attack only drops if we're losing, so let's just not lose. Route 10 is kind of a terrible place for us, all things considered, as it has very few decent encounters for how late it is in the game. Ideally, this would be where we run into our guaranteed Amoonguss, but, you know, he showed up a bit early. So of course we run into a Rufflet and name him Crumpet. He will never leave the box. Also waiting for us just ahead is, of course, another rival fight against Sharon. Unfortunately for him, he gets to feel the full extent of my power. Good. We are leading off with Conkeldurr against Unfezant. Not because I particularly want to be, but because I thought this fight was coming up much later on the route and was going to use Fruit Punch against the random trainers along the way. Well, whatever. Unfezant never kills us with a crit, so we stay in while it just goes for Detect and Taunt, and we get off a free Rock Slide, barely missing the kill. By the time Unfezant does actually decide to deal damage, it doesn't really matter, and we grab the first KO. With Samurott coming in, we switch to Bell Pepper. Unfortunately, he's Curse Body, not Water Absorb, but he's still a Ghost type and immune to normal moves. He's really just out here to land a Will-O-Wisp and swap out, bringing an Escargot before we can get Encored. Giga Drain again barely misses the knockout, but a following U-turn secures the kill and grants us a free switch to Maple Syrup, who is, crazy strong, you could say. Sharon doesn't stand a chance. And with that, we are free to begin our trek into and through Victory Road. Gotta say, it feels damn good to be free of the Gymlocke. No more restrictions, full team, running through Victory Road, bashing on trainers left and right. As tough as certain parts got to be previously, being as vigilant as I was with saving resources and banking specific encounters give me a clear path to victory moving forward. I mean, yeah, we still lost a lot of good warriors along the way, and a zebra, but the method of team building I used to be very careful with XP management and choosing to use specific encounters for different legs of the journey made this a lot more fun than really any other regular Nuzlocke I've ever attempted. But while I definitely knew how to game the system by putting specific encounters away for a rainy day, using repel manipulation and changing seasons, there was a part to all this, away from the metagaming of it all, that I feel was the real reason I had as much fun with it as I did. I think in part, knowing your skill level for these runs is very important. I can say with confidence that I've outgrown the normal Nuzlocke challenge, and I think this was fun to me as a benchmark of that. Yeah, I can run through a region using regular encounters that I pick up along the way and not always even need a full team to do it. This was an incredibly fun callback to the days when I just wasn't as familiar with the game or not as confident in myself. It sounds incredibly silly, but yeah, there was a time when little me was afraid of trying a Nuzlocke because I kept losing. I got frustrated. I didn't feel good about myself because this was a game I loved and I wasn't good at it. When you're a kid, you just want to be good at the things that you love. But I see now that I was stubborn. Even if I basically lose an entire team of Pokemon at every single gym fight, starting over 8 different times in one run like I did today, I can still do it. Little me probably could have too, if he could have gotten over how bad it felt to lose that many Pokemon so often. Obviously, I view it much differently now, but it's still a great way to see how those kinds of runs could have gone differently if I just kept trying anyway and didn't leave a dozen or so incomplete runs just because I had a box full of deaths and gave up. Basically, a Gymlocke looks a lot like a Nuzlocke done by a kid. Every gym I'm trying my hardest, but no matter what I do, I lose it all and have to push myself to keep going anyway. And as somebody mentally stuck at 16 and forever a child at heart, once I thought of the challenge that way, man, it really struck a chord with me. If you're somebody that watches these runs because you're not confident to try them yourself, I encourage you to just go for it. Don't feel bad about leaning on specific team members and have fun with the flexibility to try adding new mons to your team as you go. Break a few rules and make your own journey memorable to you. Don't be afraid of losing team members because at the end of the day, the team always starts and ends with you. Just because you make mistakes, you mess up, you fail, if it's something you love, it means you always deserve to try again. That's honestly just good life advice right there. Good job, me. Good job writing that script. Nice. The point is, fulfilling the childhood dream is always worth the effort. Speaking of dreams, it's time to put an end to ours today and instead make it a reality. Welcome to the Pokemon League. This is the Pokemon League, a Nuzlocke challenge. 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 If you have made it to this point in the video, I am legally obligated to ask you to leave a comment down below because I'm curious, out of the Pokemon remaining in this mess of a box, what team would you have made for the Elite Four? Go on, right now, pause the video, leave your comment, then unpause and compare your picks to mine. Tell me how wrong I was for not using your team. Really let me have it. Okay, are we all back now? Our final team for the end game of my first Pokemon Gymlocke is Onion, Maple Syrup, Fruit Punch, Tater Tot, Salad, and Sashimi. All part of a complete breakfast. You probably saw footage of me running into or catching an Excadrill on Victory Road. That is Tater Tot, and he is a 100% encounter inside the dust clouds within Victory Road. There's not really a better encounter to get there, so that is why we delayed Drillbur from earlier. And don't worry about the fact that Sashimi is a Pawniard, just shh, okay? We'll get there. He evolves at 52, it'll be fine. Especially since this guy, Icarus City, gave us an Experiments share, so that makes my life easy. Remember, we only have to enter the Elite Four at our level cap of 50. Everything we gain once in there is fair game. And that is why we are starting off by facing Marshall. He's usually a problem for me in this region, but today he's the easy one. I think. Acrobatics from Maple Syrup quickly dispatches his lead throw, and we outspeed the incoming Sock to U-turn ourselves out of there, break the Sturdy, and bring in Fruit Punch to take the resisted Stone Edge. 2 bulk ups let us stay in the fight, even while taking repeated karate chops, and then retaliate with a quick and easy hammer arm to take down the second Sesame Street brother. Marshall's own Conkeldurr has the moves like Jagger to dodge our first hammer arm, but we are making good use of those defense boosts to stay in the extra turn and fire another one-hit KO against the opposing Elder. Mienshao can only ever go for either Retaliate or Jump Kick here, so we freely switch out to Onion. Onion, in turn, then only ever baits Rock Slide thanks to his typing, so we swap out to Tater Tot. Tater Tot takes the resisted hit, and then yes, because he is Steel, Mienshao can once again only ever use Jump Kick, so we swap back to Onion, which causes the poor Weasel to fall to its own stacked recoil damage. That is 1 Elite Four member down. Next on the chopping block is poor Grimsley, and he's about to meet a very similar fate to his name. Leading once again with Maple Syrup, Acrobatics takes down Scrafty in just a single blow. That then brings out Bisharp, who we freely U-turn on. Bringing out Fruit Punch to take the resisted Night Slash, and the following Aerial Ace, he can then miss Hammer Arm. 90% accurate, my ass. Fortunately, we have the bulk to stay in and still pick up a KO the next turn, but that extra health would have been nice. Liepard wants to fake us out so bad, or Aerial Ace in the worst case scenario, so either way, we bring in Maple Syrup for another Acrobatics KO. Crocodile has Intimidate and a bit more bulk to him, so we U-turn out, bring in Onion even though I probably should have used Tater Tot, whoops, bait the Earthquake, and then freely swap back to Maple Syrup to get one more Acrobatics knockout. And that, my friends, grants our EXP share holding Sashimi just enough experience to evolve into a beautiful Bisharp. Just look at him. Equipped now with the black glasses, poor Caitlyn doesn't even know what's hitting her. Chantal, I could probably do the same way, but the odds of messing up and Bisharp meeting a quick and untimely demise are that much higher. So we give him a Rossberry instead of glasses, but avoid Cofagrigus Will-O-Wisp anyway. She tries to heal him out of the low HP we keep dropping the coffin to, but eventually a critical hit comes through and we score the first knockout. Golurk wants to either Brick Break or Earthquake, so we can swap to Maple Syrup either way and fire off an Acrobatics. We do miss the KO, but Golurk then tries to Curse because it can't really do much else, and that finishes off the remainder of its HP. Salad comes in against Jellicent to take the incoming Brine, sets up a Leech Seed, and then stays well ahead of the special defense drops from Shadow Ball by eating a Citrus Berry and boosting her stats back up with Quiver Dance. Leech Seed slowly eats away at the jellyfish and we let it, refilling our HP as our special attack and speed max themselves out. By the time Jellicent falls and Chandelure comes out, our Petal Dance is so strong that even though it's a resisted move, it just doesn't matter and we walk away with one more easy win. With all 4 Elite Four members defeated, the statue descends into a pit, we run up a bunch of stairs, shit goes down with N and the champion, or something. I think I kind of zoned out of it at this point. That bitch then forces us to climb a lot more stairs, like a lot more stairs, and then he summons a chicken dragon out of the sky. Like, dude, why don't you just use a Pokeball like everyone else? And then that cool rock we got earlier turns into another dragon, and I'm like, I thought this was Pokemon, not Bakugan, and I really honestly don't have time for that, so we just use the Master Ball and move on with our lives. Even God tries to get me to add him to my team, and I'm like, nah, I'm good. Now, we can finally fight Champion N. Unfortunately for his giant chicken dragon, Earthquake from Tater Tot takes it out in a single hit. Also, the Zoroark pretending to be Kling Clang, but that's not an issue. Caracosta is the problem. Not a difficult problem, mind, as we just swap out a Salad and set up another Leech Seed, but we don't really want to Petal Dance here and get locked in. So we swap out to Sashimi to take some hits, whittle away its health, but barely miss the kill and never get an attack boost with Metal Claw because that's about where my luck is at today. Then, N goes for a full restore. So we swap back out to Salad, rest to keep our health up, then finally back to Sashimi, this time on a missed Stone Edge, land the attack boost and the KO with Metal Claw, and finally find where all my luck went. Kinda honestly useless to me now though, since Tater Tot has to come in for free on a Thunderbolt and then land a KO against the real Cling Thing with Earthquake. We bring an Onion against Vanillex, grab a 2-hit KO with Flame Burst, which I don't honestly know why it isn't Flamethrower, but whatever. Then against Archeops, we swap back to Tater Tot on either a Stone Edge or Crunch in this case, and land another 1-hit KO with Rock Slide. Pokemon battles at their peak really are just a song and dance, aren't they? Swapping back and forth, but that's not enough for this idiot who forces us into a whole extra fight. Getsis is one pain in the ass of a final boss, but his lead Cofagrigus can't do much of anything to Tater Tot. We get up a Swords Dance before killing the ghost, again, with Earthquake, and then Hydreigon comes in and misses his Fire Blast. So we grab a completely undeserved 2-hit KO with Rock Slide against that one as well. Buffalant and Seismitoad fall one right after the other to their own Earthquakes, but we do actually miss a Rock Slide when Electros comes out. God, I wish I had Mold Breaker. His Flamethrower does eventually take us out, but at least we managed to get him low with an attack first. Fruit Punch comes in to get his revenge, with Strength dealing decent damage and being completely accurate, but Getsis uses his full restore. Thankfully, Conkeldurr can take whatever the eel throws at him, and then a Hammer Arm the next turn will score the knockout. Bisharp is Getsis' last Pokemon, and all it can do is flail around helplessly for a bit before falling to a second Hammered Arm. And with that, the Pokemon White Gymlocke is defeated. 8 gyms, one right after the other, falling to completely unique teams, made purely with the Pokemon that we encounter along the way. The Elite Four has fallen to the best of whoever was left over. N falls, Getsis falls, Plasma is defeated and stopped from doing whatever they were doing. The credits roll, and finally and officially we can say, player defeated, Pokemon White. I already gave a lot of my thoughts on this challenge earlier, so haha, tricked you guys that don't watch all the way to the end, but I won't repeat myself here. Though I'm sure similar challenges have existed in the past, I will still be giving a thank you to Macho Brace for introducing me to this type of challenge because I sincerely had a lot of fun with it. Again, check out his video in the description down below. If you enjoyed this video and want to be the reason why I am able to make more of them, do consider becoming a member to support both me and the channel. I am putting out cool custom content for my members, mostly stuff that I can't really post normally thanks to the almighty YouTube algorithm like chats and reactions. So if you haven't gotten your fill of content yet, there is still plenty more waiting for you on the other side. All that being said, thank you so much for watching this video all the way to the end. I'm so glad you enjoyed. But another challenge done means I am all out of time for this video, and I will just have to catch y'all in the next one. See ya.